as we have said all offseason, we couldn't have imagined a more favorable spot for a number one overall pick quarterback to go into than this Bears team. As Caleb Williams gets to play in his first NFL game, the Chicago Bears take on Will Levis and the Tennessee Titans. Ryan and I, we are going to break down the entire game here and at the very end provide our predictions. But before we get into that, if you want to help out the channel, hit that subscribe button if you have not already. Go ahead and give a like and a comment. Let us know who you think is going to win this game or what the final score will be. Ryan, I'll say it now just because you brought it up right before we started recording, but this is such an interesting matchup because as much as, you look at the Bears team on paper, and all the talent that they have, there's still some talent also, too, on this Titans team as well, and kind of almost a similar situation where you have these really good veteran receivers. You're going to have the Titans, I think, maybe have a little bit better running back. I take that back. Running back room is almost tied. They have a much more improved offensive line that both teams have spent an extensive amount of key draft picks over the past couple of years as well. Made some improvements, significant improvements through trades on the defensive side of the ball. These teams are actually almost kind of similar, and the Bears obviously got a lot more hype this past offseason just because of they were picking first overall and all the moves they were making. What do you think of both of these teams here, and do you think the Bears have are major favorites in this, or just slight favorites, or maybe not even favorites at all?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with the Titans here. They made the big offensive signing of Calvin Ridley, and then they brought in Tyler Boyd pretty late in the offseason. So that wide receiver room has some veterans. Treylon Burks is kind of their fourth wide receiver who has really yet to kind of work out.
He's a fourth wide receiver for a reason.
So. Yeah. And then they got J.C. Latham as their top draft pick. So hopefully that offensive line should be improved. I did feel like maybe they should have targeted well, I guess they're going to play him at left tackle, and then they kick Nicholas Petit-Frere over to right tackle. So we'll just have to see kind of how that plays out. But very interesting defense. They drafted T'Vondre Sweat, who's a true nose tackle. So it looks like they're going to be running with outside linebackers with Arden Key and I believe is Harold Landry, and kind of getting those guys some one-on-one matchups with some tackles there. And I think this is a good team. I just go look at the Bears roster, and it's like DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet is a really solid tight end. This offensive line performed really well, especially at the end of last year. And then you go look at the defensive side of the ball. Montez Sweat is going to be a double-digit sack guy. Gervin Dexter had a really good rookie season. They got Andrew Billings. TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds is a great linebacker duo. And then they have Jalen Johnson just got a big contract extension this offseason. And then Tyreek Stevenson had a really solid rookie year in that cornerback room. And all around, this team has just made significant strides in the last 2 to 3 years. And I think it's going to be a really tough game for the Tennessee Titans. And I would say the Bears should be rightfully favored in this matchup.
Yeah, well, I think that's a great segue then too, actually, to what the betting markets are saying. If you do like to put a couple bucks down on the game, check out the link below in the description box here, as BetUS has a bunch of great promotions going on right now for first-time players here. And even to looking at BetUS as of recording of this video, they are 4-point favorites over the Tennessee Titans with the over-under at 45.5 here. That's going to be interesting, actually, over-under, because I think the 4 points is fair. Because Bears are favored, but maybe not like a full touchdown favorite. 45.5, I could see some scenarios where both of these teams maybe just get hot because it's the first week of the season, because you're still going to have some offensive firepower, even on the Titans, as you mentioned. But we definitely know all the firepower that the Bears have. And Caleb Williams, I remember the first time I watched him, I was up way too late here on the East Coast. I'm watching USC play somebody, and I'd never even heard of this kid before. And I'm like, this dude looks like Patrick Mahomes. And, of course, that's how he's going to play because he is kind of like a mini-me Patrick Mahomes, just with his elusiveness, ability to throw the ball down the field. And I think, too, then you just put this whole receiving room together. That's just where everybody's looking at it, like the potential of this team in this rookie season. But to your point, though, what you said earlier, it's how great their defense is also. It's first week of the season, so that's where I think maybe Deandre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley can win a couple matchups, and that's where I think it can they can maybe have some deep balls, some explosive plays that result in deep ball touchdowns. But in general, though, I see just more opportunities where the Bears can consistently keep on scoring. And another thing too, as well, with the Titans, new head coach, firing of Mike Vrabel as well. Don't really know how this team is really going to play under Mike Vrabel. I don't want to speak for all fans out there, but I felt like I just had to trust that Mike Vrabel was somehow going to get this ragtag defense to be one of the top 5 defenses in the league, and don't know if that's still going to be the case anymore. With I'm pretty sure his name is Brian Callahan. Is that the new head coach?
Yeah. He's an offensive guy, really, really good offensive line coach. Probably one of the best ever.
And actually, didn't he come from Chicago? I think he came from Chicago.
No, Cincinnati. No, yeah, Cincinnati, I thought.
If he came from Cincinnati, he was one of the best offensive line coaches. That's ironic.
Or it might have been Cleveland. Yeah, he came from Cincinnati.
That's ironic.
He was their offensive coordinator.
Offensive coordinator. Okay, that makes more sense then. Okay, so so that's going to be interesting to see kind of what he is able to bring to the table, especially to when we kind of saw what Cincinnati was able to do with that offense. So I don't know. I want to ask you this here before we get into predictions. Do you think Deandre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley can have a day against this Chicago Bears secondary? Or do you think that they're too much improved now? I mean, with all the talent that they have with Tyreek Stevenson.
I mean, they could. Those are two experienced veteran wide receivers who are, I don't want to say perennial 1,000-yard receivers, but they've had 1,000-yard seasons in their career for sure, multiple 1,000-yard seasons. So yeah, they could have a day. I just think this is a really tough matchup, especially when you go look at what the Chicago Bears are going to be throwing at Will Levis. This is going to be a complex defense also. This isn't a team that, like, they run kind of a 3-4, or really the only other team except New England that can kind of run a 5-2 with 5 linemen on the defensive side of the ball. And I think they're going to be throwing a lot of different looks at Will Levis. And I think that's going to limit the productivity of these receivers. And this is I think this Bears team, they're probably going to take it slow on offense, but I think defensively, they're only going to take it slow on offense just to make sure Caleb Williams gets up to speed at a proper rate and not just like throwing them into the fire right away. But this defense, I think, is really ready to go. They were one of the top defenses last year in the second half of the season, and I think it's going to be a really tough matchup for the Tennessee Titans. So, I mean, let's just get into predictions. I'm going with the Chicago Bears. I think this is going to be a really low-scoring game, probably like 20-13 type game, where it's just, I think the Bears, they're not going to put Caleb Williams in a lot of situations where he's going to have to take a 7-step drop and sling the ball outside the numbers, even though he can do that. I just, in a rookie's first game, I think you're going to want to maybe take it easy on the complex play calls, get him in and out of the huddle, get him the experience, and then worry about pushing the ball and making explosive plays second. And I just think the Titans are going to struggle with, I think, what this defense can throw at them.
So I will also go with Chicago. I think I'll be a little bit more ambitious, I think, on what the final score could be. I'll go 31-21. I just really think as well, this is the first week of the season, but I think I believe that the Bears are, just with all the weapons that they have, that I don't even think you need to make it too complicated for Caleb Williams, just because I think all those guys are going to get open. And so I think they're going to have a bunch of opportunity to move the ball down the field. And even though I know the Titans traded for L'Jarius Sneed, which I think is overall going to be a great addition to the team, it's just he can only guard one guy. And so I think that's going to be kind of some of the things that's going to be tough for the Titans overall. Going on the road, week 1, anything can happen, but I think Caleb Williams is going to come out victorious here in his first matchup.
Yeah, so we both go with the Bears. I think we're going to wrap this one up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on who you think is going to come out ahead in this week 1 matchup between the Tennessee Titans and the Chicago Bears. Other than that, we will see you guys next time.